Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Battle Stadium singles video here on iStarly TV, part of my Road to Master series where I try to climb the online ranked Battle Stadium singles ladder. And we are early on in this new season, this new rule set, and I have a brand new team today. This is an interesting one that I built, so we have the team code right up there if you want to try it out for yourself. And as you can tell by looking at it, this is a Sun team, focused on setting up Sunlight with Ninetails, and then going into the very, very powerful threats that I have on the right-hand side right there. And the goal, of course, is just to hit as hard as possible and just destroy the enemy team. The main way of me doing that is with my choice specs Flutter main with Photosynthesis. In the Sunlight, it'll get a special attack boost because that's its highest stat. And then alongside the choice specs, this thing will hit harder than anything in the entire game, of course. So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Let's start with Ninetales though. This set, you know, when I've made weather teams in the past, I do have fun making weather teams, and I've tried items like, you know, Focus Sash or Eject Button, and I think those are fine items. I just went for Heat Rock here, which of course prolongs the sun, and from 5 turns to 7. I figured I kind of don't really mind if my Ninetales gets knocked out early on, because the goal, of course, is to go into one of my powerful threats and do a ton of damage. So sometimes it can actually be a little bit of a blessing for Ninetales to get knocked out, because I can just go right into Roaring Moon or Flutter main, whichever is kind of better for the situation, and do a ton of damage. So Will-O-Wisp is good against, you know, maybe bulkier, slower physical attackers, or maybe even faster physical attackers, and if they happen to miss or something. Fire Blast is a no-brainer, makes a lot of sense. It's a good stab. Solar Beam is great coverage with Fire Blast. It hits a lot of the Pokemon that Fire Blast doesn't hit or doesn't want to hit. And then finally we have Memento, which makes Ninetales faint, and it lowers the opponent's attack and special attack by 2 stages. So if we're up against something like, I don't know, a Dragonite or something, or just something really threatening that won't kill me, I can just Memento to knock out Ninetales and get momentum, no pun intended. Memento gives momentum, and go into one of my scary threats once again, and it'll be harder for the opponent to deal damage to my Pokemon because their attack stat will be so low, and then I can just proceed to do a ton of damage. So that's the deal with Ninetales. And then we have Flutter main, like I said, you know, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Mystical Fire, Power Gem, pretty self-explanatory. The EVs on this Flutter main are Max Special Attack, Modest Nature, and then I have, I think, just enough speed to outspeed, I think, Urshifu, and then the rest of it is in HP, I think. I'll post the Pokepaste in the description so you can see the exact EVs, but the goal here is not to be fast, it is to just blast through things. And, you know, if we can get Flutter main in on something that would typically be scared out by it, we can just destroy whatever comes in. Just, you know, clicking Moonblast, if they have no steel types or their steel types are kind of weak, Moonblast just destroys just about everything. If they have no normal types, Shadow Ball destroys everything. So just those 2 stab moves are almost all we need. And yeah, Flutter main has been amazing. Then we have Breloom. We'll go kind of in order here. Breloom, this is my typical Breloom set that I've been running, and the goal here is Breloom is here kind of for Pokemon that might give Ninetales trouble, like in cases where maybe I don't feel like I want to or even need to bring the Sun. I can bring Breloom as a lead because it's still a good way for me to kind of get momentum or get initiative for Flutter main and Roaring Moon or even Ogerpon. So sometimes I can lead with Breloom, survive any hit, put them to sleep with Spore, and then go into one of my threats and just, you know, kind of win the game that way. Because while Flutter main and Roaring Moon are really good in the Sun, and sorry, I haven't really explained, I think it's kind of obvious, but I'll just explain anyway. The reason that they're so good in the Sun is mainly because of their ability Photosynthesis, which when they're holding a booster energy item or when they are in Sunlight, they get a boost to their highest stat. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, so Breloom, again, is just there as like an additional, excuse me, an additional lead option if I don't want to bring Ninetales. Then we have Roaring Moon, which is my other sweeper here. I have just enough speed. I have like, no, I think it's max speed. And then the rest of the EVs, I have mostly or I have most EVs in attack, but not max attack, because otherwise that would make Roaring Moon's attack stat higher, which would boost attack in the sun. And I want to boost speed, of course. And then we have loaded dice with Scale Shot, and then we have Knockoff and Terra Blast. I think that's decent coverage. Scale Shot is a little redundant, but it's kind of my best dragon move. I don't want to give it Outrage, and obviously Dragon Claw is a little worse. But with Roaring Moon, it's decently bulky enough that we can set up a Dragon Dance if we scare something out. And Terrifier is mainly there to counteract a lot of its most important weaknesses. Of course, it's 4 times weak to Fairy. It's also super weak to Ice, which is a pretty common type right now. And Fire resists both of those. So, and to top it all off, it gives me the added benefit of having, you know, a Fire type stab in the sun, which means when I'm Terrassalized, Terra Blast is going to do a lot of damage. It also covers the dragon typing really nicely. So yeah, I love Roaring Moon. It's an awesome Pokemon. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite Pokemon in Gen 9. And I haven't really gotten too much chance to use it, but we're going to try it out here. Then the last 2 Pokemon, I'm actually going to go a little out of order here. Ogerpon's kind of my 3rd sweeper, just because Ogerpon's just such a good Pokemon. This Ogerpon, or Ogerpon in general, is just pretty good against the meta. Like, we didn't really have a great fire type beforehand, and now Ogerpon's great. Like again, Ice and Fairy are pretty common typings, and Ogerpon being a fire type resists those. I guess it doesn't resist Ice unless it's Terrestrialized, but either way, Ogerpon's a great threat. It's a really strong Pokemon right now, and you do see it everywhere. It's kind of one of the breakouts from the new DLC. And this set here, I have max attack, Adamant Nature, and then just enough speed to outspeed Flutter Mane and Qianpao after a Trailblaze, and then the rest of it in HP just to get as much bulk as possible. And so the goal here is to send an Ogerpon against something, maybe scare them out, use Trailblaze on a predicted switch, and then I'm faster than everything. And then if we ever Terrastalize, we also get that +1 attack boost because of Ogerpon's Terrastalize ability, I guess. And then Fire and Grass is pretty solid coverage, and then I have Play Rough mainly for dragon types, mainly for like Dragonite, because otherwise Dragonite would completely wall me. Now that set right there does get walled by certain other things, so you know, Ogerpon's a really, really strong Pokemon, but there are certain Pokemon that can completely wall it as well. But I figured, like, if there's cases where I don't bring Ninetales, Ogerpon is still a really strong Pokemon outside of Sun, and even in Sun it's very good. So I mean, it's just a good Pokemon overall, so I threw it on the team. Finally, we have Gliscor. Now this Gliscor set here, Protect, Sub, Earthquake, Toxic, is, I think, another rising star from the DLC. It's a really good Pokemon. It's extremely bulky, has a really good typing, and it has Toxic or Poison Heal with the Toxic Orb, and then it can also poison opponents. So it's just a Pokemon that's extremely annoying. I've run into it a lot in testing, and it's just so good. Like, now, to be fair, I threw it on this team just because I wanted some kind of bulk. I wanted something that could kind of throw off the opponent and take on maybe less powerful threats that are annoying to my team. And so I thought trying out Gliscor would be decent here, but I think Gliscor is at its best when you're pairing it with other bulky Pokemon, like a Pokemon like Toxapex or even Blissey pair really well with it because they can take hits that Gliscor would otherwise be weak to, and it just creates this extremely annoying like stall core. So I don't want to play a stall team, absolutely not, but I think Gliscor is still a really good Pokemon, so I'm going to try it out here. And like I said, I thought I needed some bulk, some pivots for the team, you know, even though the goal is going to be to send in something and hit as hard as possible and just try to do a ton of damage and win the game that way rather than switching a lot. I think Gliscor, having a bulky Pokemon was still necessary. So that's the team. Go ahead and try it out if you're interested, and yeah, let's get to the games right now. My opponent has Scizor, which I appreciate. They also have a Gliscor of their own with Umbreon. Like I said, Gliscor is really strong. Like, it's just so good. And of course, it's super weak to Ice, and this is a game where it can change its typing on the fly. So it can be very tough to deal with sometimes. And just pairing it with a bulky Pokemon that can take Ice-type moves just makes it even better. So I'm definitely afraid of that Gliscor. Now, something I didn't mention here is my team is very clearly a Sun team, if only for the fact that I have Ninetales, but I also have 2 Photosynthesis Pokemon and a Fire type. So I think my opponent's gonna be pretty privy to what I'm gonna be trying to do. With that in mind, though, I think bringing Sun is not that bad here, although Garchomp does look annoying. I still think I want to bring it, because if they lead Garchomp and like knock me out right away, I don't really mind that too much, because then I can just go into one of these things. Flutter Mane can just blast through the opponent's team. If they don't bring Scizor, I imagine they probably will bring Scizor though because of Flutter Mane. But if they didn't bring Scizor, like I could just spam Moonblast and they have no switch. Well, I guess they have Ogerpon. We're gonna try it like this though. I think Ogerpon is good because it can take on Scizor. But my biggest concern, of course, is going to be that Gliscor. And each individual Pokemon on my opponent's team is not super scary, but the way that they pair together can be scary. Like, of course, oh, I changed my trainer card because I was doing a Frigibax outbreak. But, you know, Garchomp is super weak to ice, but then it can switch into Scizor, right? So they actually lead with Gliscor, which I don't love to see. But I am going to go for Will-O-Wisp because if they don't protect here, I actually completely nullify. Yes! Okay, cool. Now, I think, you know, my opponent probably didn't expect that I would have Will-O-Wisp. I mean, maybe they just didn't think about it, but this is huge. Typically, Gliscor runs Protect. And if they had Protect, they should have gone for it there because now I just completely ruin this Gliscor. I think I'm just gonna click Solar Beam here just to break their sub because they're not poisoned and they don't have the poison heal active. They actually aren't gonna be getting recovery, so this is just absolutely perfect. It also burns them, of course, so they take residual damage, but also their attack stat is now lowered. So if they have Earthquake, they're not gonna be doing that much damage. And I know they probably have Toxic here. I don't really care that much. Like, my goal now is just to kind of wear down this Gliscor. Like, I could go into Flutter Mane, but I feel like they just poison me. Maybe I do just go into Flutter Mane here. I don't know, actually. No, I think I'm just gonna keep staying in here. I know that I'm faster. I'm gonna click Fire Blast here. This is a risk. Oh, they do have Protect. So I bet my opponent's kicking themselves because they could have gone for Protect turn 1. And that's kind of, in a lot of cases, I mean, it depends on the situation, but if you're up against a Pokemon who can burn you, you probably should Protect turn 1 because you really don't lose anything. I guess unless you're worried that they're gonna set up, but I mean, I think Ninetales does have Nasty Plot, but I don't know. Maybe the fact that Ninetales is such oh god, that sucks. Such an uncommon Pokemon means that my opponent didn't know exactly what I was gonna do here. So they're gonna Earthquake. If they do knock me out, okay, they don't. That's good. They're probably just gonna Protect here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and switch out. Because that means we can keep the Sun for later, possibly. Let me just quickly check how many Sun turns we have left. We have 4 turns left thanks to the Heat Rock. I'm just going to go into Flutter Mane now. If they go Earthquake, we take it because they're burned. If they Protect, though, that's kind of the best case scenario. I kind of feel like my opponent will expect me to go Fire Blast again, and they'll probably Protect again. So Photosynthesis boosts my special attack, and oh, they actually go Sub. Okay, that's a little annoying. So that means they are going to get to possibly poison me, which is pretty annoying. I don't have a move that, and I am Choice Specs, of course. I don't have a move that can break through subs, unfortunately. Like if I had like Hyper Voice or if I had the Infiltrator ability, then I could break through the sub here. But unfortunately, they're going to get off a Toxic, which is really annoying. I'd rather they had gone for Earthquake there, but I think this is fine too. Now, importantly, we are also locked into Shadow Ball, so if they go right into Umbreon after this, that can be pretty annoying, but I think I'm kind of okay with that, to be quite honest. So they're probably going to Protect here. I could switch. Do I switch? What would I switch into, though, right? I'm going to go into Ogerpon here. This is kind of weird, but I'm just going to expect them to Protect. This preserves my Flutter Mane's health, meaning I don't take any more poison damage, and it kind of resets my Flutter Mane because I'm not going to be locked into Shadow Ball. Because if we had knocked out Gliscor and they go into Umbreon right after, yeah, they do Protect, and they had gone for Umbreon right after, that does put me in a pretty rough spot. So I think Trailblaze should be enough to knock them out here. This will give us the edge on any Pokemon they go into. Like, it means that kind of no matter who they go into. Oh, they're faster. Yikes. Okay, that's really awkward. We take that pretty nicely, but it is really awkward that we took some damage there. it does mean that whoever they go into, I'm going to be faster than them regardless, which really helps. So kind of an awkward start, and you do see there how good Gliscor can be. Like, we completely like destroyed it with the burn, but it was still able to survive for a lot of turns and actually do a ton of damage to our team. Like, it really did a lot of damage to our team. So we're gonna want to trade that. Okay, so they boost your energy, yikes. Okay, actually Flutter Mane is kind of the worst thing they could go into here. Now, I do have some bulk investment. Is it ever correct to Terrastalize here? Huh. Do I Trailblaze? I mean, the main question is do I survive a hit from them? Because if I don't, we're in a lot of trouble. I'm gonna Cudgel. I know... Okay, we know they're booster energy. I think Cudgel should knock them out. I think we're still in Sun. Oh, they're gonna Terrastalize. If they're Terra Fire, this is really bad. I guess my hope now, because if we lose Ogerpon here, we are at an... Oh, okay. I was about to go for Trailblaze, but we are at a huge disadvantage if we lose Ogerpon. But the only kind of saving grace is if I go into Flutter Mane. Terra Ground? Well, I did not Terrastalize. We'll see how this does. This is going to do less damage than a Shadow Ball, I mean. Oh, we take that. Nice. All right, this will do the same amount of damage. I guess... Oh, wow, that's perfect. We got a crit. I don't know if that mattered. I think we're still in Sun. And Flutter Mane, of course, has, you know, not great defense. They went for Terra Blast. I think they were predicting me to Terrastalize. And I honestly, that tech right there, a ground type Flutter Mane, I think the reason they have that is for Ogerpon, right? Because Terra Ground Flutter Mane is really weird, and I think Ogerpon is so common these days that they just felt like they needed a way to deal with it. Although Shadow Ball still does a decent amount to Ogerpon. Either way, we have Play Rough here. We're gonna click that. And they actually cancel the battle. Now, I don't think that was the right play. My opponent absolutely could have won. If we missed the Play Rough right here, or if they survive it, they kill my Ogerpon. They're faster. If they're max speed Garchomp, they knock out my Ninetails. And then if they're max speed Garchomp, they don't know this, but my Flutter Mane does not have max speed, so they would knock me out. So my opponent actually had a chance to win there, unless if they were bulky Garchomp or they did not have max speed, or if we landed that Play Rough, you know, we still do win. So could have gone either way. My opponent probably shouldn't have conceded that quickly, but I guess from their perspective, to be quite honest, like if I were in their shoes, there's a world where I would have done the same. But either way, game one's in the books. We get a win there. And burning the Gliscor turn one was absolutely critical, because I don't know that we would have won as easily. We didn't even win easily, but we wouldn't have won as surely without that. But anyways, let's go to game two. Game number two, we've got another Fire Ogerpon. This Pokemon is probably going to be the #1 Pokemon in usage. I see it everywhere. It's a really good Pokemon, and, you know, for good reason. Anyway, I think I do like my own Ogerpon here. They have Ogerpon too, so it kind of depends on how we go in that matchup, like who gets the upper hand first, I guess. But I guess the main question we should be asking is, how does the Sun look? You know, here comes the Sun, and I think it looks okay. But they also have a lot of fast Pokemon, which makes bringing Flutter Mane a little scary. Huh. What about Gliscor? What about Breloom? I don't think I love Breloom here, honestly. What about Gliscor? They have a lot of physical attackers, so Gliscor could actually be pretty solid here. I think I like the bottom 3 Pokemon here. Flutter Mane's good, but they just have so many Pokemon that are faster than it. I feel like we'd really have to play to our outs. I don't know, I could bring it, but yeah, I just think there are just way too many Pokemon that are faster. So who do I lead with? Because all 3 of these are good, but like I don't know that I want to lead with any of them, honestly. They're not really lead material. I'm going to lead Gliscor like my opponent did in game 1. I don't know. It's just because like Ogerpon and Roaring Moon are like really good, but I kind of want to save them in the back for later. But also, Gliscor is a really good Pokemon to switch into. Okay, they go into Goldango, which honestly sometimes has a really good matchup against Gliscor, kind of depending on... I did invest in speed in my Gliscor to outspeed certain Goldangos, so we might get that. I'm just gonna click Earthquake right away. I feel like, yeah, I feel like we kind of forced a switch. I feel like they weren't gonna really do anything super crazy there. I guess they could have gone Make It Rain and done a ton of damage and honestly possibly knocked me out, but this ends up working in my favor because we're gonna get some decent damage on the Ogerpon and we're gonna still get our Toxic activated. And their Ogerpon's not really gonna be able to do that much damage to us because we are Gliscor. Gliscor has a massive defense stat. So I think I just Earthquake again. Like they could have Leech Seed. I've seen Ogerpons with Leech Seed. I've seen Ogerpons with Encore. I've seen Substitute and Taunt and Swords. Like there's options for Ogerpon. It's a very, very good Pokemon, of course, for the 80th time. I'm just gonna Protect here because if they Cudgel and crit me, I could die. Oh wow, they Terra now. Huh. I mean, I'm happy to get their Terra this early. And I'm definitely happy that I protected here because it means there's a chance that I could live. I don't think I'm living though. I don't think I'm living after this. I could try the double protect, but huh. We might just lose Gliscor here, which is not the end of the world, especially since we weakened their Ogerpon and got their Terra this early on. Now, one Terra type that I was considering for Gliscor is actually Terra Water. Because it helps you against ice types as well. And honestly, I think Terra Water could be a very good option for Gliscor, but I thought Terra Steel had a lot more benefits because it can also surprise like Flutter main if they try to use Moonblast. But obviously in this case, Terra Steel is pretty bad. So I'm just gonna stay in. I'm just gonna click Earthquake. I don't want to switch anything into an Ogerpon, but they actually Encore me into that Protect, which is pretty interesting. I wonder if this means that they actually have like Swords Dance. So what I'm gonna do here is actually go into Roaring Moon, because if they go Swords Dance, I'm faster than them, so I outspeed them the next turn. If they go Cudgel, it'll do a lot of damage, but I do resist it. I also resist Grass. I guess if they make a crazy play and go for Play Rough, that would be an absolute nightmare, but because Roaring Moon is faster than them, I think this is a fine switch. Now, I should live this. They are Terrifier, and they're at +1 attack. Wow, and Roaring Moon also does not have great defense, but I do live that. And let's see what the rest of their team looks like. Honestly, I mean, it's easy for them to just go into, what do I do here? It's easy for them to just go into like Dragonite with extreme speed or even Flutter main after. So, well, I guess I know they have Goldango, so that's great for me to know. Ooh, oh, okay. I guess they were mad. I don't know why do you rage quit there? Like, it was obvious I was gonna knock that out. That was a weird one. All right, well, that's a funny way to end game 2. But yeah, I think things were going decently for me. Obviously, I still could have lost, but I knock out Ogerpon there. And then I get +1 speed thanks to the Scale Shot. And then if they go into Flutter main, you know, I'm faster than it, presumably. If they go into Goldango, I just use Knockout and destroy it. So I was in a really good spot there, but it was not over yet. I guess, again, depending on who they had left. So let's do one more, since that one ended very abruptly. We've got game number 3. My opponent's team is very, let's call it admirable. No, I do really appreciate my opponent's team. Moltres is very cool. I like the Genies. I like, you know, Tornadus and Landorus. They're great Pokemon. And then the rest of my opponent's team is pretty standard, pretty good stuff. So what do we like here? Gliscor looks solid here. Of course, they do have Urshifu and Baxcalibur, though, and Flutter main. And then also they have some good special attackers. So I actually don't know that I like Gliscor. I guess the number one question that I always ask, how does the Sun look? And I think it looks fine. We're gonna bring it. And honestly, I think we just bring these 3. Like, I think these 3 are just really strong, really solid. I'm not gonna think twice about it. You know, these games have been fun so far. We're on a little bit of a winning streak. No, you know, not to jinx it or anything, but this has been a really fun sequence of battles. So we lead with Ninetales, and I guess something that would be scary is if they lead with Landorus, but as I keep saying, I like my opponent's trainer card. As I keep saying, I don't really care if Ninetales gets knocked out early. Like, it just gives me a chance to go into, you know, something else. However, they go into something that is probably the worst case scenario for me for Ninetales, because Moltres just resists everything I have, and we definitely cannot burn it, so I should be faster though. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and Memento. This is actually kind of scary because now I do appreciate that it's a shiny Moltres, but this is actually kind of scary because I don't really know what Moltres can do. So, you know, I'm going for Memento here, but it's very possible my opponent just goes for something that I'm like completely not expecting and destroys me because I'm not prepared. But they do just go Air Slash, which is not that scary. What do I do? If I go Flutter Mane, would I be faster? That's the question, right? Because the funny thing is, I did just set up Sun for them, so if they go for a Fire type move, we are GG'd. I'm gonna go... I'm gonna go Flutter Mane. I was gonna say Roaring Moon, but the thing is, I think if I get to a position where I'm on the back foot, Roaring Moon is a little better for me because it's fast and it has a pretty solid typing. Whereas the other way around, like, just kind of doesn't go as well for me. But my opponent, luckily for me, does not have any normal types. So I click Shadow Ball, and if I'm faster, they're dead. Okay, let's see the power of Choice Specs, Photosynthesis, Flutter. What? Oh, this is awkward, everyone. This is so awkward, y'all. I wonder if they're Assault Vest. This is very awkward. I was hyping that up for nothing. I couldn't even get a one-hit KO on a Pokemon that takes neutral damage, but whatever. We do get the knockout now, and we don't take that much damage from Air Slash. So they have free reign to go into something good here, like their own Flutter Mane. If they go into their own Flutter Mane, it's not going to be fun for me. Yeah, I think that's Flutter Mane. Flatterhar? Yeah, it's Flatterhar. Oh, I could Terrastalize, which I'm tempted to do, but that gives me a little bit of a worse matchup against Baxcalibur with my, whatever, dude, I'm doing it. With my Roaring Moon. Now, if they also, ooh, they're also good in Terrastalize. If they're Terra Normal too, imagine we're both Terra Normal and we both go for Shadow Ball. Oh God, this could be really bad, everyone. They're Terra Fairy, okay. Okay, so they're probably gonna Moonblast, which is also rough for me. I mean, I'll probably live it, but they have a chance to lower my my special attack. Huh, this is scary. I think we're still in Sun, and I don't think I saw booster energy from them, so if they do knock out my Flutter Mane, I should be able to go into Roaring Moon and be faster than them. However, oh God, this is actually really rough. I need this knockout, actually, because I just realized, and I don't think I'm gonna knock them out. If I go into Roaring Moon, oh yes, we get a crit. Oh no. Okay, well, I'll say that makes up for not knocking out the Moltres, but I do feel a little bit bad about that. I was gonna say though, if we don't knock out their Flutter Mane and they knock me out, I go into Roaring Moon and I can no longer Terrastalize, and they resist knockout and or knockoff, and they're immune to Scale Shot, and Terra Blast is not a physical move anymore, so we're just in really bad shape. But I think we're in a good spot here. I think we're probably gonna pull out the win here, because I should be faster than them. They did already Terra. This is gonna do a ton of damage. Okay, we don't knock them out. Ooh, oh yeah, this is scary. Oh no, everyone. We're still gonna lose. I was thinking of switching out and then I can come back in and use Moonblast, but then they're gonna be faster anyway because they Dragon Dance. Oh no, everyone, we're dead. Oh, this sucks. I think Icicle Spear is 100% accurate. Yeah, and as we saw, well, actually, if we're still in Sun, we still got this. I think we're still in Sun. Is it about to run out? If we get Photosynthesis, it's GG. We win. I think we're still in Sun, right? I saw the little sparkles on the ceiling. Yes! Well, I think so, right? I mean, we should. I guess they could have Ice Shard, but why would they, right? We're gonna go Knockoff because the funny thing is Scale Shot is actually 90% accurate, not 100, so there's a chance we miss. Yes, okay. Oh, that was such a close one. That was good, though. That was a good one, because I was thinking, like, oh, I definitely got this in the bag. And then they go for Dragon Dance, and I'm like, actually, if I go into Roaring Moon, then there's a chance we lose it. But Heat Rock was absolutely clutch there. We won that battle because of Ninetales' Heat Rock, because it prolonged the Sun enough for Roaring Moon to come in and get the Photosynthesis boost. So really good stuff there. So hey, you know, honestly, when I was testing this team on Showdown, it was really volatile. Like sometimes I would like win really easily and really powerfully, and then sometimes it would be really rocky and like the opponent would destroy me. Yeah, we got Master Ball with this team. I'm proud of it. I'm really proud of it. Awesome. All right. But anyways, yeah, so in testing, it was really back and forth. Like some games would be really like easy. Some games would be kind of hard. Some games we would, you know, execute our Sun strategy, and some games we wouldn't because the opponent's team would be really good against it. So I wasn't really sure what to expect going into these battles, but yeah, that was really fun. And you get to see the power of Choice Specs Fluttermane as well as Roaring Moon, who you don't see that often. But I think Roaring Moon's just such a strong Pokemon. Like it feels like such a powerful Pokemon that's not really seeing much play, and I think a big reason for that is because some of the best Pokemon right now, you know, we have a Fairy type, we have an Ice type, we have, you know, Dragonite who can extreme speed to pick you off. Like there's just so much going on that makes Roaring Moon a little awkward, but I love it and I still think it's an amazing Pokemon. So that's the team. We never brought Breloom, but we did bring everyone else, and everyone else looked pretty good there. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Please leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet videos, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this team. If you have any suggestions for who I should use next, let me know. I have a couple teams lined up that I want to use that I built. I'm not sure which one I'll do next, but yeah, we're gonna see. Let me actually think right now who those teams are featuring. Okay, I do have a team with Blood Moon Ursaluna, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Otherwise, I have a team with just a bunch of like good Pokemon, honestly, like, you know, like I have another team that's like a really strong team. So let me know if you want to see the team that with like a bunch of like really good Pokemon that's just a strong team overall, or if you want to see a team featuring Blood Moon Ursaluna. Let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate your feedback and I appreciate your support. So again, leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I appreciate all that. And I hope you have a wonderful day. You deserve it. And I'll see you next time.